It's my pleasure to share with you an experience we may not have again at UCSB. I'd like you to meet Anthony Ybarra, professional guitarist with a specialization in Latin American music, classical music, jazz, you name it, Anthony can do it. He was raised in Santa Barbara, very proud American of Mexican descent. Anthony has had several years training recently in other areas as well. He's going to share with you and help us conclude our course on Afro-Latin American Studies. Please give a big hand to Anthony Ybarra.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here, and thank you to Professor Davis for inviting me. As she's been saying, I've been studying all sorts of different types of music for the past 3 years, and I really got into Brazilian and Latin American music just because it made me feel really good when I heard it. And whenever I heard someone play it, it was like, wow, it really intrigued me. I grew up playing rock and roll and all the other fun stuff that you play on the guitar, and Latin American music really touched me deep inside. So I wanted to study it and learn about it. And the more I got into it, it had such a rich culture and a rich background that you can hear it in the music. That's obvious. It comes from two cultures or three or more joining and sharing their background and sharing it through music. So I prepared a few pieces for you that kind of go to the realm of your standard Latin American music, especially from South America. And the first one is called Black Orpheus, there's a movie, and that it comes from a very well-known movie that you guys should check out if you get a chance. Real beautiful melody, and I'll talk more about the rhythm when I'm done. Black Orpheus. There's so many different styles of Latin American music that is produced. And what I found out studying this is that a lot of the basis of Latin American music, and I think what makes it really swing, is what they call syncopation, which you have all these things happening on the offbeats. You know, if we have someone tapping, and this is our beat, between the range of each time I hit my guitar, there's a lot of different rhythmic possibilities. So what was created, and this is, I found, was derived from the influence of African Americans, or Africans in Latin America, was to add the syncopation to the music, which you get a bass note happening on the beat, and then you get a rhythm on top of that, which bounces off that downbeat, which is the basis of Brazilian music. And what I played was a Bossa Nova, which was introduced in the United States probably in the mid-50s, if I'm not mistaken. First by Dizzy Gillespie, jazz trumpet player, who came down to Brazil and said, wow, man, they have this great thing happening. And he brought it back. But what really made it big was Antonio Carlos Jobim with The Girl from Ipanema. And the Bossa Nova was a slow type of music. And The Girl from Ipanema was a big hit in the United States. I'm sure you parents have played that or have heard it somewhere before. Big hit. But that was just one small avenue of Brazilian music. The opposite of Bossa Nova is what we call the samba, which is high speed, generally danceable, older style. And the next piece I'm going to play for you is called Saudade de Bahia, which means longing for Bahia. And it's a samba. What really fascinated me as well about Latin American music is their use of harmony. It was so different from what was going on in Europe in the classical style. They took all that syncopated rhythm, but they also added different harmonies to it. They took the conventional rules of music making and they broke them and they changed things and they substituted different melodies and chords and really created a unique sound. One of the early composers that I've studied was a gentleman by the name of Garotto, and he took your basic styles, but he also reharmonized everything. I mean, it's so different, yet it's very difficult, highly sophisticated, and just intriguing to the ear. His next piece I'm going to play is called Lamentos de Mohu, which I blanked out on the translation of that, but it's all over the place. But there's always this space where you find the main melody comes through, but it's surrounded by all this incredible rhythm going on. I brought a little toy here. Not a toy, it's actually a percussion instrument. It's called a cuisa. A good friend of mine and one of my teachers went down to Brazil this year and spent 8 weeks down there and was a part of the carnival and was a part of that whole scene. And he brought this back to me, and it's amazing. You know, the guitar is just one of the factors of Latin American music. But what really creates an interesting sound is all the instruments they have. And this is one of them. Still trying to figure out how it works, but I don't know if I can get it to work now. It creates a high-pitched sound, and it's used to help enhance the music that's being created. There's also another instrument called a berumbau. There's all sorts of different things. There's shakers going on. And a berumbau, which is really interesting, it's a long stick, really about 3 feet high with a wire. You have this stick and a stone, and you kind of create this effect. And a Brazilian composer by the name of Baden-Powell wrote a song called Berumbau, which kind of emulates the sound this instrument gives, which is kind of like this. Real monotone and drony. So he wrote this tune around that. And actually, this is what really turned my head and got me into Brazilian music. I'm like, wow, this is just so cool. It's all just really drony, but it kind of draws you in. So this is Berumbau. It's amazing. This is half a coconut with some type of hide and a stick at the bottom. And how ingenious this is. When you hear someone play this well, it really adds such a texture. Let's see. One more piece I think I was going to play for you guys was a piece called Choro Academico, which Brazilian composers wanted to emulate the great composers of Europe and try to go about the same lines as they do as composing music, but still keeping their identity. And this piece, these choros, was very popular. There was Villalobos. Hector Villalobos was one of the great composers. Barrios was another great composer. A lot of choros. And it's very classical oriented. It's their version of the Western. I'm drawing a blank here. Of Europe's type of approach to classical guitar.